Okay, welcome everyone. Today's our kickoff meeting for the HL7 Australia Fire Connectathon. That's going to be held in Sydney on Wednesday, the 19th and 20th of March. It's going to be held in the Microsoft offices in North Sydney. So this is our briefing for that meeting, for that Connectathon. So first of all, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. So HL7 Australia acknowledges and pays respect to the past, present and future traditional custodians and elders of Australia and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people. My name's Michael Wilson. I'm a co-chair on eRequesting TDG. I'm going to be taking you through the kickoff call today. The agenda for this meeting, we're just going to do a quick introduction to the track leads. We're going to talk about the goals and the description of the track, the timeline for activities, give you the links to the Fire IG, talk about system roles, as well as test scenarios and test tools, and introductions of people to bring things to the Connectathon. So track leads, we've got 5 track leads for this Connectathon. We've got Andy from Magentis, Angus from Sonic, and we've got Steph, myself, and Michael Osborne, all from CSRO. So feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to answer your questions and lead you through this Connectathon. So the goals for this track at the Connectathon, we're looking for people to implement systems as AU eRequesting actors to create and access pathology and imaging diagnostic requests. So we're looking to test the current snapshot of the AU eRequesting Fire IG and provide feedback on that specification. So any issues and things we find in the specification, things it needs, we want to identify those issues as part of testing as well. And most importantly, we want to test alignment of solutions against the current version of AU eRequesting. So those out there who have already been started implementing or building eRequesting solutions, this is a good opportunity to test those solutions against our current version and look for alignment on those solutions. So the track page, we have a track page which is going to have most of the information we're going through here today. There's a link. I will put it in the chat as well. I'm going to find the right one. So I'll put that in the chat. Let's link there. The track page itself looks a bit like this. So you'll see all the information we're going to go through today is in this track page. As we go through and update information and provide links to the snapshot of the IG and the like, they'll all be updated on this page. It's got the agenda. It will also have the recording of this presentation linked in there as well. So if you need to go get it, it's going to have the testing resources and the things, as well as the testing scenarios. So everything you should need to know about the Connectathon for the eRequesting track will be in this page. So that's a handy link to have. Back to my... We also have a Zulip stream, so I'll post that one in the chat as well. And here we go. So that's where you can ask any questions at any time about the Connectathon. There's no dumb questions. Anyone can ask anything in that chat, and one of the co-chairs, our co-leads track leads will get back to you with information. So you can also post information about the systems you're bringing, things you'd like to do. Any information that you've got there will be useful. I'll show you here. I've just posted today. This is what that stream is for, and details about the track page and the like are here as well. The agenda for the day, we're going to kick off on the first day. Registrations start from 8:30 a.m. and then we're going to kick off at 9 o'clock in the morning. So the initial is kind of a joint between all the tracks in the Connectathon, a joint kickoff where we're going to go through what's happening in patient summary, AU core and patient summary, eRequesting, and the smart app launch. So we'll talk through those, we'll give a bit of an introduction. And then before morning tea, we'll actually sort of kick off to actually testing eRequesting for you, implementing your solutions and testing. These breakout times are still tentative, but we'll look to the morning of day one to have a breakout session on the introduction to AU eRequesting. So for those of you that aren't very familiar with eRequesting, this might be your first Connectathon. You might not be that familiar with the FireIG. We'll do a bit of an introduction on what we have, how we got here. If you're not interested in that breakout, you can just continue testing your solutions. And then the rest of the day is all testing, all hands-on testing, connecting. For day two, again, registration and coffee from 8:30 in the morning, and then kicking off at 9 o'clock again. And then we're straight into our eRequesting testing, just a continuation from the day before. And again, looking in the morning, at the moment, looking for directly after morning tea, but this time may change. We'll let you know. We're going to have a breakout session on radiology request terminology. Again, if it's an optional session, if you want to go to that and if you're interested in learning more about the radiology terminology or have some questions for it, you can go to that breakout. If not, you can just keep testing with others in the Connectathon. In the afternoon, after afternoon tea, this is where the chance we do a report out, talk about things we've achieved during the Connectathon, and also it's your opportunity to demo the things that you've done, the things you've built, things you've tested, and showcase what you've done. And we'll look to wrap up and then close by about 4 o'clock on day two. For our breakout sessions, like I briefly mentioned before, on day one, we're going to look at an introduction to eRequesting, so an introduction to AU eRequesting and the FireIG. And then on the second day, we're going to have a radiology requesting terminology breakout, which will talk about the current state of the radiology referral value set, run through mapping to local terms using Snap to SNOMED, and just a general open terminology discussion and guidance. So if you've got questions, you want some guidance, you can come along to that breakout and have your questions answered. Bit of a checklist for participants that are coming on the day. First of all, and most importantly, make sure you're registered for the Connectathon. It is sold out. So if you don't have a ticket, please send an email to events@hl7.com.au. You can go on the wait list. You might be lucky. You might be able to get one. Otherwise, connecting with your track leads, that's here by coming along to this or by reaching out to us on Zulip with any questions you might have. Another important one is make sure you complete the pre-event survey. So that gives us a good indication of who's coming, what you're planning on doing. Also gives you the opportunity to provide any dietary requirements and the like. So that's definitely worth doing. If you can, please complete the survey. If you haven't already, make sure you've signed up for a chat.fire.org account so you can communicate with us on Zulip. Also, make sure you've signed up for a HL7 account. These are free. Anyone can have one. This gives you the ability to raise issues. If you find something that's not right with the spec, we want you to raise an issue on it. So sign up for a HL7 free account, and then you'll be able to raise issues on the spec if you find anything during the event. And then finally, sort of get familiar with the AU eRequesting FireIG, have a poke around, have a look at it, and prepare your technical environment. So whatever you're planning to bring along, have that prepped, ready to go. So some of the prerequisites for the event is a basic understanding of fire. It is a hands-on technical event, so you don't have to be an expert by any means, and we're here to help you, but just have a basic understanding of what fire is all about. again, a basic understanding of the AU eRequesting FireG. Just have a look at it, have a poke around if you haven't before, so you've got a bit of a start. Making sure you bring your computer. This is important because we're going to be technical. We're going to be connecting. So you need a HTTP client such as Postman or any other development environment that you may want to use. And yeah, as part of that, a functioning development environment. So you can implement one of the system roles and can participate in at least one of the test scenarios. So this is what we're testing. This is what this Connectathon's all about, is testing the AU eRequesting FireIG. So I'll just put the link in the chat for that one as well. This is currently the current build of the FireIG. We're just finalizing some additions to this for the Connectathon. We hope to have it done by today, but it should be available early next week. We'll create a snapshot of this for testing at the Connectathon, and I'll post that in Zulip when that snapshot is available, and also update the track page with that link to the snapshot. So we have a few things that are just waiting to go in at the moment, things like my health record withdrawal consent, copy 2, pregnancy status, some of the things we just agreed in the last meeting, but they'll be available very shortly and will be available for testing at the Connectathon. To give you an indication of what we've got to test with now at this Connectathon, we've got a lot more in the eRequesting FireIG than we had last time. We've made some good progress this year on getting some extra things in. So this gives you an indication of some of the things you'll be able to test. So we have diagnostic requests, both imaging and pathology. We have our references to insurance with the AU eRequesting coverage, the reference to the pregnancy observation, the IPS pregnancy observation. We also have the diagnostic request task for workflow management, as well as the task group. And then all the ones in green are the references to AU core profiles. So we've got a reasonable amount there to test with that we didn't have last time. So this is where we're looking for systems that have implemented or looking to implement these to look to the alignment of where we are with what you might have or want to do. We didn't stop there. We've got others that we've recently made decisions on. So bringing in consent with my health record consent withdrawal, which references the imaging request and pathology request. We also have copy 2 communication request on the right there as well. So these ones work a little bit differently. They reference the imaging or pathology request rather than the other way around. But they'll be there, they'll be available to test with. I think in our next TDG meeting, we are looking at some additional communication requests. They won't be in the snapshot for the Connectathon, but they will be available either in a branch or in the current version of the IG if you want to test with those as well. So I think that's urgent communication as well as patient communication as well. So they won't be in the snapshot, but they will be available if you want to test with those as well. Bit of a recap, we probably haven't talked about it for a while, but this is the state machine that we'd agreed for AU eRequesting. You notice there are a couple from the standard task state machine that we've removed, like draft and ready. But as part of testing at the Connectathon, you'll be able to move service request tasks through these different states and do some testing of creating a request and then moving them through the different states. Summary of the system roles. So hopefully you're coming along to the Connectathon, bringing one or more of these system roles that you want to represent. And we have these defined in the FireIG. We have the AU eRequesting Placer, which is a client application. And that's a system that is responsible for creating diagnostic requests. We have the Filler, which is also a client application, which is a system that's responsible for finding and retrieving diagnostic requests fulfillments so that service providers can fulfill them. We have the AU eRequesting Patient, which is another client application, a system that allows patients or their representatives to view diagnostic requests and fulfillment of diagnostic requests. And then we have the server, which is the system that accepts diagnostic service requests and makes diagnostic service requests accessible. So you can come along and you can try and perform as one of these actors or multiple of these actors, depending on what you want to bring along and where your interest is. This gives a little bit of an indication of what those system interactions might be. This hasn't been expanded out with all the different profiles that we currently have, but as a general rule, the placer is doing create, updates, and searches. The filler is doing searches and updates, and the patient actor is doing searches. As a general rule, that's not explicitly how it's going to work everywhere, but that's a general rule for the interactions with the eRequesting profiles. Some of the test scenarios, I'm not going to go through all the detail here, but we have a number of test scenarios. You don't have to implement these test scenarios. These are guidance if you're coming along and want to know where to start. If you've got your own test scenarios, absolutely come along and do your own testing. This is just some guides if you want some guidance on what you might want to do. So as a placer, if you've got a system that's acting as the placer actor, you can create pathology service requests, create imaging service requests, use the RCPA and RANSCAR value sets for assigning test codes. You can create tasks and other reference resources that relate to that service request, and then doing searching for requests that you created and belong to you. If you want to represent a filler client system, you'd be doing things like reading service requests, searching for tasks that either ID or they're assigned to you. And there's a number of different types of searches there, and also updating the task status. So as it's moving through that state machine, be able to update that task status to move it through. If you're patient access actor client system, you're probably just searching by an ID or a requisition or a patient identifier, the types of searches you might want to do. The guides for how to do these searches and the like are on the track page, so you can use that as guidance. But like I said, you can bring along any test scenarios you're interested in. For the server, well, the server kind of needs to be able to support everything, so it needs to be able to support reads, searches, as well as creates and updates. Some of the more advanced scenarios. So if you are have been working in the eRequesting space for a while, now that the FireIG has a number of other profiles in it, these are the advanced scenarios that we'd like you to test as well as part of the task group: my health record consent withdrawal, copy to, pregnancy status, fasting, quantity, urgent communication requests, and patient communication requests. So there are a lot of the profiles that we've just recently introduced, or changes we've recently introduced into the IG. So getting feedback, getting any issues or things we might have missed with those, trying to get alignment with things that you're building with the current version of the IG. They're all things we're interested in testing with at the Connectathon. So there'll be a lot of value in anyone who's able to test any of these new features that we now have in the eRequesting IG. Some of the tools and that we'll have available to assist you during the Connectathon. Sparked is going to have an AU eRequesting server. That's the link for it there. These details are also on the track page. It will be loaded with all the AU eRequesting, AU core, and AU base profiles. So have all of the AU profiles loaded into it. It'll be loaded with HL7 AU test data. It'll be configured with a remote terminology server, tx.dev. It will have a read endpoint that anyone can connect to anonymously, and will also allow create and update. There will be authorization required. We'll provide those details on the day. If you do want it earlier, please reach out. We can provide those details once we've got that server set up and ready for the Connectathon. We'll also have the Spark terminology server, tx.dev. This will support the fire validate code and expand operations. It will be loaded with AU core, AU eRequesting terminology, including the Ranscar radiology referral set, the SNOMED CT imaging procedure value set, the RCPA SPIA requesting pathology reference value set, and the SNOMED CT pathology procedure value set, as well as a whole heap of others. So everything you should need will be there and available on that terminology server. We also have test data that is available for you to use in your systems. We'll have these loaded into the Spark servers, but you can also use this data in your own systems. It's available there on GitHub, and it provides synthetic, realistic data conforming to HL7 AU fire IGs. It includes a whole heap of resources like patients, practitioners, practitioner roles, organizations, and much more. It contains them in a number of different formats, including JSON files, Postman, and scripts. And like I said before, it'll be loaded into our Spark servers. So you can either use it from the servers that we're providing, or you can take this and load it into your own systems. Now, we don't have a lot of people on the call, but we do have a couple. So this is an opportunity to sort of see what people are bringing to the Connectathon, what we might have available. For anyone else out there, you can provide details on the track page. I'll just show you where that is on the track page. You can edit the track page and make these changes yourself. So on the track page, down the bottom here, there are track participants and testing tools. So we've got in here the Spark eRequesting server. We've got the Spark terminology server. We've got the HL7 AU fire test data repository. But please add to this page. If you've got things that you're bringing that other people can connect to, edit this page, put in your own details in here so that others that are coming to the Connectathon can go to the track page, look at what your system is, what it does, how to connect to it, and then we can do some real connectivity testing at the Connectathon. So you can definitely go to this page, you can update it, add all your details. It would be very useful for everyone. But I know we have a couple of people on the call that are bringing things. Ilya, did you want to talk about things you might be bringing to the Connectathon?
Yeah, so as usual, I will bring Beta EMR, and we will test how it could send some various kind of service requests. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And you'll put your details in there when you've got your
Yeah.
server ready to go. Yep.
I will update Confluence page also and add all the information there.
Yep. Excellent. Angus, did you want to talk to what you're going to bring along?
Get off mute. Yeah, I'll bring along what I had last time. So I should have a fire server in the cloud that can take eRequests and have our mocked sort of lab hooked into it, which can then process orders, just sort of mocked, pushes them through the statuses. I don't know about the order claim thing I had last time. That may or may not be there. I'm hoping to get validation in place on the server too. So using the Spark profiles and the Spark dev, the Onto dev server, using Firely's validator. So I think most people use the Java validator. So it'll be interesting to see a different validator using the same profiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Andy.
I'll have, I hope, both Pleasure and the filler covered, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks before I get there, I'll have put in profiles so it can do either native IG, accelerator IG, or could support other flavors of the data. So see how my time goes in the next 2 weeks.
Right. Excellent. Like I said, anyone else who is watching this recording later, feel free to add your details to the track page, or post it on Zulip chat as well. What you're bringing, what you'd like to do. We'd love to hear from you before the event. But otherwise, we will talk to you during the event. If you are new to Fire on HL7, there's a link here that's available for a newcomer orientation. That's about Fire 101, how to read Fire IGs, Fire testing tools, and an overview. So that's a useful resource if you are new to this environment. Other than that, that's probably covers off the walkthrough today. Keep an eye on the track page. It will update as we have new information or additional details available. Also, keep an eye on the Zulip stream and post any questions or comments you might have there. So we're open to that. But other than that, we're looking forward to seeing you in Sydney.
Are you going to talk about the breakouts, Michael?
I thought I did, but I can jump back to that page. Maybe we didn't talk enough about it.
No, I had to jump off on a call, so maybe I missed that bit.
Okay, but this was, let me jump to the page. Did you want to talk to you're going to run the first breakout session? Did you want to?
Yeah, so this will be kind of, I guess, driven by demand in some ways, in who turns up at the Connectathon. So we do want to be quite inclusive for new people coming. Also, whether they have a more of a business focus versus a technical focus. So as required, we'll kind of either within the room or in a separate room provide some introduction. And I think the two things I've thought of is kind of more a brief overview of how in the world do we get here from a technical perspective. But there's also a kind of business perspective to that as well. So as needed, we'll kind of cover both of those branches.
Yep, excellent. Michael Osborne, did you want to talk at all about the other breakout as well while we're here?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So essentially we want to get some feedback on the work that Ranska's been doing in just getting together a number of procedures for radiology requesting into a value set. We want to run through how you might map that value set to your local terms. There's a tool called Snap to SNOMED. It's authored by CSIRO, but it's a tool that's used internationally through SNOMED International. And I was going to run a bit of a demo on how you might map a local code system to that. And then what we wanted to do was an open discussion about what the challenges are in implementing the RRV. We want to get some feedback on what the gaps might be. So what's missing from that value set, if you've got a set like that. So the broader the audience for this, the better from our perspective. And that's about all I had.
No, that's great. Thanks, Michael.
Can I get Michael Osborne, can you also talk about transformation? Because once any code gets out in the wild, in terms of active orders, they can stick around for 12 months. And so you can end up having really quite old codes that come through, and having just a brief kind of, if you do need to do transformation, kind of there's some ways you can look at this. We don't need the answer, but it's a good discussion if you do have some time.
Yeah, there's kind of yeah, all right, I'll prepare something on that. There's different ways to approach that one. Yep.
Okay. Was there any other comments any of the other track leads wanted to make, or any other questions you want to cover off today? No. Like I said before.
Make sure you're ready to go to the pub after the Connectathon.
Yes, didn't put that on the agenda, but yes, we will find somewhere to go. We always do after the Connectathon.
Is Sonic
So,
buying Angus?
No, 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 no.
And in the meantime, if you have any other questions, well, I'll jump to the slides. I'll just jump through them all. Go to the track page, reach out to us on Zorp. Happy to answer your questions as we go. So we look forward to seeing everyone in Sydney. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks,
Thanks, Michael.
You.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.